A long time ago, in the heart of a 4-year-old kid began to grow a strong inquietude to learn how the nature which surrounded him worked. How could birds fly? Why did frogs have those unique colors? As time passed, his immense curiosity turned into the field of biology, and his questions became more complex. How does our brain work? How do we think and imagine? How are our dreams made? Moreover, why do we dream? And now, that child is here, standing in front of you, to talk to you about one of the questions that have fascinated him the most: the brain's marvelous and enigmatic ability to change and adapt no matter what life throws at us. Good morning, my name is Mateo, and I'm here today to talk to you about brain plasticity. Well, this is not only for scientists and doctors, but it's something that includes all of us. I think that knowing more about how our brain works would be essential to overcome a brain injury, or to stop or delay the cognitive deterioration of Alzheimer's or Parkinson's diseases. Knowing more about this process of neuroplasticity is essential to overcome these challenges. Let me start by sharing a story. They say that the probability of being struck by a lightning is 1 in a million, but that was exactly what happened to Scott Knudsen, a cowboy from Texas in 2005. His case became famous after a BBC documentary showcased his remarkable recovery from the severe brain damage he suffered. After the strike, Scott began, as he said, to experience strange symptoms. Not only did his body hurt, but he also felt very mentally confused. Words did not come out, and he had trouble even at standing up. He felt that his brain had completely shut down. His family feared the worst. But Scott's story didn't end there. Over time, he regained his ability to talk properly, speak, walk, and remember. His recovery was nothing short of miraculous, and showed that our brain has an incredible capacity to recover itself. This capacity was firstly described in 1906 by our Nobel Prize winner Ramon y Cajal as neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to mold itself, creating new neuronal connections where they weren't, and reorganizing its neuronal structure. But let's take a better look about how our brain works. It's one of the most complex and important organs in our organism. It's not only used for talking, imagining, or thinking, but it's also involved in such basic processes as, for example, breathing, blinking, or even feeling. And so, what's most important of this is that it enables us to learn and builds up our memory. To do so, it has hundreds of billions of neurons connected with each other, creating neuronal circuits through which electrical signals called synapses travel, carrying out the information that our brain needs and emits. Like, for example, touching a very hot pan. The electrical information that our nerves transmit is transmitted all throughout our nervous system to our brain, where the information is processed and a reaction is produced. Then that reaction goes again to our muscles of our hand so that they can move away from the pain. But what's most interesting in this is that those neuronal connections aren't permanent, and that our brain has the ability to destroy or create new ones where it's needed. So now that we know how our brain works, then we could act when a neuron connection fails. Think of the brain as a big city. When one road is blocked, then another road is prioritized to keep everything running. In a similar way, when one part of our brain is damaged, then he will use more the other neurons and parts he has in order to maintain its function. So now our intervention should then focus on the rehabilitation of lost functions using those healthy neurons. And our brain's adaptation capability helps and is key in cognitive rehabilitation treatments that go from, for example, the insertion of new proteins in our organism that help to stimulate the brain's neuronal connections, and also intellectual treatment, intellectual therapies and training, or relearning, also named. Here, I have one example that shows perfectly this. In the left picture, we can see, and in all the pictures, we can see the same neuronal network. In the left, we can see that some neurons, as in the top of the image, aren't even connected to the neural network, so that they cannot perform its function. But over 2 months of training, we can see that our brain has created new neural connections throughout this same neural network. And now, it has shortened the distance between specific neurons so that the information can travel faster and more effectively. And now, we can use this information to recover, for example, an Alzheimer's case. Well, what I want you all to take away from this talk is that it's not about science, it's about hope. When we hear about someone suffering from memory loss or Alzheimer's, don't think of it as a lost cause. But think of it like the brain's capacity, what we have seen here, shows that recovery is possible. And that we have in our hands to stimulate and to promote the investigations that can make the difference. As Ramón y Cajal once said, every man can be the sculptor of his own brain. And now, we can promote these new investigators and new investigations for this in order to improve our mental health future. And now, I will finish with this. Those neurons, those delicate, elegant cells, mysterious butterflies of our soul, as our Nobel Prize winner described them, may become, with time, increasingly closer to us. I bet on the hope of science. And you? Thank you.